All right, everyone. Welcome to the 90 Degree Show. I'm your host, Joe Beard. Happy to be of service for you. This is let me change the thing here. This is week 9. Don't look at the thing just yet, y'all. All right, it's week 9 or volume 9 here on the 90 Degree Show. Had to make the little change there. And we got our illustrious panel. Bridgette's not with us tonight, so we got Ernest filling in for her, and we're going to talk about North Carolina A&T's homecoming with the great matchup with Norfolk State, and we're also going to talk about some smaller bands, Savannah State and Fort Valley State. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and start the show.
Welcome to the 90 Degree Show, the sports center for college marching bands, where we recap the ultimate battles from this weekend. And now, here's our host, the Phantom Podcaster himself, Joe Beard.
I'm like talking for the last couple seconds. Had my microphone muted. All right, y'all. Welcome to the 90 Degree Show. I'm your host, Joe Beard. Happy to be of service for you. We appreciate all those listening, whether through iTunes, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, our website, our blog, or wherever you are on the interwebs. At the end of the broadcast, if you decide you like the show, then we appreciate a donation to the network, if you feel so in your heart, of course. Just simply go to themarchingpodcast.com and click on the donate button to help improve the show and help build our scholarship fund. Tonight's show is brought to you by Block Band Music and Publishing, SAY Marketing and Promotions, blockusup.com, Kevin Peete of REMAX Patriots, and SmokeeOs Barbecue. We hope you enjoy the show. All right, let's say hello to our esteemed panel of judges tonight. Let's go ahead and say hello to the owner and founder and editor of blockusup.com, one and only Ernest Stackhouse. How you doing, sir? How you doing in this
What's
podcast?
up? What's up, everybody? Glad to be here, man. Excited. Let's do it.
All right. Well, thank you. Welcome. And then thank you again for being on the show with us tonight. And again, we have the one and only looking down over everybody. The Regal.
Know about all that.
Rashad, because you Regal, you flying over. Rashad, how you doing in this podcast, sir?
What's happening? What's happening, everybody? What's going on? What's happening?
All right, well, that's outstanding. Any news? I asked you guys anything going on with you this week, Ernest?
Oh, man, I'm just working, you know.
Same old.
Yeah.
Right. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. What about you, Rashad? Anything going on this week, man?
Of course, all the time, sir. So we got color commentary. We just reviewed 2 movies, actually. The first one was the movie Nobody's Business with Tiffany Haddish and Tika Sumpter. So make sure to check us out on Facebook as well as YouTube to see that movie, as well as The Nutcracker, which nobody wanted to see. Of course, with Block Band, it is now time for you to get your Christmas music. It is past time for you to get your Christmas music. Get it now. Contact us for Block Band to get your Christmas music, so you won't be just out there playing Cold-Hearted Snake for your Thanksgiving parade. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that. I gotta mesh with your text so you guys can see your names here. But hey, I appreciate again you guys being on the show tonight. We got a nice little matchup. I know we talked about A&T, and we talked a little bit about Norfolk at the Battle of the Bands, but they weren't on the field, you know, in that. So we get a chance to talk about them on the field tonight. A little bit about A&T. Shout out to you, Ernest, because you were the ones that let us know about the That is America. This is America show. So yeah. It was really good, and Bridgette saw it first. And so then Bridgette hit me up, and she's like, oh, we need to talk about this like next week. You know what I'm saying? We need to talk about this right now. So it turned out to be really, really good. And so yeah, lost my mic for a
Yeah.
second.
Shout out to them Aggies. I'm not a fan, but I can appreciate the talent.
Yeah, my bad. Lost my mic for a
Yeah,
second. Yeah, I lost my mic for a second. But no, man, no, it was really cool. It was a good show, and so I was glad that we got to talk about it. So we got to talk about them in a little different avenue tonight, and also some of the smaller bands. You know me, I like some of the smaller bands, so we get to talk about Savannah State tonight and Fort Valley State. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get the first set of commercials out the way. I'm going to be playing a couple of them more than once so we can get them over with. And we'll take 2 commercial breaks. We won't do the 3 like we've been doing. We'll just take the 2, and that should be enough for us tonight. So let's go ahead and pay the bills, as they say, and we'll come back and we'll start to talk about Fort Valley and Savannah State first. We'll get those out the way, and then we'll talk about the major matchup of the MEAC with the 2 major bands. All right. So go ahead and mute your microphones, and then we'll be right back to talk about Fort Valley and Savannah State here on Volume 9 of the 90 Degree Show. Appreciate you listening.
Your host, Joe Beard, and the 90 Degree Show will return in a moment.
Band directors, have you ever found yourselves in this situation? Showtime is quickly approaching. Your budget is quickly disappearing. Your music choices are narrowing. The equipment condition is wearing and your stress level is mounting. Stop what you're doing and contact Block Band Music and find out how we've got you. Check www.blockbandmusic.com, providing music, equipment, gear, and accessories to show style, core style, and traditional bands worldwide.
The source for fair and factual information on your favorite college bands, blockusup.com. Well-written articles, in-depth band performance analysis, helpful resources for band directors, fun band-related topics, and exclusive interviews with some of today's brightest and most talented leaders of college marching bands. Visit us at blockusup.com, the meeting place for band fans and band directors.
And now, more of the 90 Degree Show with your host, Joe Beard.
All right, everyone, you guys can unmute your microphones, and we are back here live on the 90 Degree Show, talking Volume 9. I was real interested because, you know me, like I said, I like the small bands. So I learned, Ernest, I'll let you go ahead and start, man. What did you think? Let's talk about Fort Valley first. What did you think about Fort Valley State and the clip that you seen? Also, if you're listening in the episode trailer there at the bottom of the description of the episode, we have the links of the shows that we checked out and some of the other information. So, Ernest, man, what did you think about Fort Valley State?
Man, I was real impressed with Fort Valley. The show started off with a big, strong sound, and you know they got their weight up a little bit this year. They've been kind of smaller in the last couple of years, but this year they have a really balanced instrumentation, and tuba section is rocking. That's like the best section in that band, I think, at this point. The tuba section. But I was impressed. They had a really full sound, a really strong start. When they started the show, I was a little concerned because, you know, yeah, they got their weight up, but they're still a small band in comparison to what the average college band size, you know, average size like 160, 120, 160, somewhere in that range.
Right.
And they're a little less than that. So doing that traditional step 2 drill, you know, I thought they were losing a lot of sound to the end zones. And I wish they had done some kind of non-traditional format with keeping the bells to the press box or coming on from the sideline and kind of drilling forward to the other sideline, maybe just trying something a little different. But they sound good when they stand still. I was real impressed with that sound when they were still. They did have some exposure and some phasing issues when they started to move around a little bit, though. And I think that's mainly because they had the band spread out a lot doing those step twos. But their dancers were really good. I enjoyed their dancers, very high energy routine. I was real impressed with them, more so even than Savannah State's girls. So kudos to the dance squad at Fort Valley. But yeah, the tuba section all day. Tuba section took it as far as the sound of the band is concerned.
All about the tuba, shorty.
All about the tubas. From a tuba player. I don't have Bridgette on with me tonight though. It's usually all about the tubas, but
I know. And shout out to Bridgette. I know, I'm sure she's working hard and doing her thing. She's working hard her PhD, so we really appreciate her.
Oh, that's what's up. I didn't know that. That's what's up.
Yeah. Don't let her tell you. I told you she's on strike, man. She told you she did not want to review Southern yet another time, and you made her review Southern anyway. Now she's on strike at least 1 week.
Yeah, she definitely.
She's taking a cranking hiatus.
Oh yeah. Bridgette don't be playing with that cranking stuff. You know what I'm saying? And just to give a shout out to Bridgette, I'm glad you said that because I almost forgot. Since she will not be on with us tonight, more than likely we will probably miss out on the shots. So we want to say shout out to her with hello from Free to Gats, y'all. Free to Gats. Busting out shots, y'all. That's for you, Bridgette. Shout out to you, Bridgette. All right, y'all. So that's what's up, man. I definitely agree. I like the tubas because it's easy for them to stand out, on a breakdown, but I really thought that they sounded good. That was the thing. Only thing for me, and shout out to BandTube, I know we did an interview with them, and forgive me because I haven't talked to the president. I can't remember, his name is slipping my mind, but I think he sold BandTubeHD, or he's not the person that's in charge, so it's like under new management or something like that. But shout out to them and shout out to all the videographers that's able to, do their thing, especially at the smaller schools. So I was really excited to see that BandTube did the matchup that they did. They've also done Smith and Winston-Salem, some of the CIAA schools. So shout out to BandTube. Only thing is that he was like right there on the ground. And I know that like right there for halftimes, I like to see like from up top so you can see the drill and you can see the formations and how precise that those drills and those step twos, like you guys call them, how precise that they were. That was the only thing. And
that mic picks up every little slip up, boy.
Yeah, definitely. And then another thing too, Ernest, that Rashad and I talk about all the time is, keeping bless you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
It's keeping your horns to the front. Keep that sound to the box. But a lot of bands, man, a lot of smaller bands, they go end zone, and they turn and they lose a lot of sound, even if it's like 40 of them out there total. You know what I'm saying? So that was what jumped out at me. Rashad, man, what's up with the pre-analysis on Fort Valley State, sir?
Let's do it. First of all, let me go ahead and give some props to the videographer I watched, who I don't know what his name is, but I'll have it for you in a second. It's like Mr. J85 or Mr. TJ85. So I got
yeah, shout out to him. Let me give him a round of applause. I've been following him on YouTube for a while. And he's also, I have his link on our blog. So if you guys go to the marchingpodcast.blog, you'll see in the suggested links Mr. JT85. But yeah, shout out to him. I think he also became a subscriber. He subscribed to the network to check out the shows today.
Yeah, shout out to the young brother because a lot of times Block Band does a lot of business with a lot of those South Carolina bands. and he actually records a lot of those competitions, so we're actually able to see our music being played. So definitely I appreciate him. So anyway, on to Fort Valley State. First of all, I was very surprised by how big that they are. I don't think I've seen them in performance, at least not recently, and they were, a decent size out there, so I was impressed by that. I was kind of confused as to whether or not the band should be dancing during the drum major entrance or not. I'm not talking about when the band actually did the dance. I'm talking about when he's playing, and like some of the trumpet players are like, yeah, we're getting this, and some of them are just standing still. Like either, yeah, we're getting this, or stand still. Do one or the other. Or if you're going to move a little bit, don't like, just, make it more uniform there. The main thing I noticed about them throughout the entire show is that they have a very powerful sound. It seems like they have good articulations, but it's so much out of tuneness. So much out of tuneness.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
If they could just get these instruments more in tune, their sound would double. I mean, they're a very powerful band, but the way music works, if those notes are out of tune, it's just going to take away. So they need to work on that. I really liked that they made number one on the field and they played number one stunner. That was cool. It sounded bad, but it was cool that they did it. The dancing wasn't hype on the field, and that's an ongoing problem with them. Every time they dance, they were just kind of like, yeah, we just want to play. Did you notice that the announcer was off on vote? Like he was like, yeah, Fort Valley State just made vote on the field, and I was like, they did? I didn't see them make vote, and then they made vote. Right. Dude, are you watching the show?
Yeah, this face in his notebook.
Yeah, exactly. He was just reading what comes next. Okay, trombones, turn the line, and I say this. And then I had to get him again. Boy, this dude was straight out of Georgia for real, man. He's like, the Dancing Dog Divas is about to take the field. I was like, is about to take the field? From an announcer? Okay, anyway. The Dance Girl song was really strong. I really liked that Dance Girl song. Sounded decent, just need to be more in tune. And somebody hit a crazy high note right at the beginning of the actual band dance routine. I think it was a trumpet player, but that was pretty cool.
I heard that. Like most of it was facing the back, right? And then he was like, oh!
The only song I can pick out during the dance routine was the Mrs. Officer, wee, 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 wee. And I didn't like that I couldn't hear the low brass during that. Like they were too soft. Maybe somebody else should have had that. And my main complaint during the dance is that they're just halfway doing the dances. Like I can see in the band room where they're going through the dance routines. They're just like, all right, so do this right here. All right. And then just kind of chill with it and rock with it right here. Like there's no intensity in their dance routine at all. And so they're not a bad band. They have some really good ideas, really creative. They made making vote and number one was cool. Work on intonation and work on intensity on those dances.
I used to tell my band students, man, you got to sell some tickets. You can't just be halfway doing the dances. You got to sell some tickets. So,
exactly.
Yeah, they weren't selling them tickets. They were going through the motions. It was in the fifth run through in band rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, you gotta sell it.
Yeah,
exactly.
That definitely jumped out at me. I was wondering because I'm not so familiar with Fort Valley State if that was their style. But they kept, that uniform throughout the end. And so I was like, I kind of wanted to see more excitement out of them. But pretty much what you guys said, I had, they danced a lot through the show. That tripped me out. And it's something I want to bring up when we start talking about Norfolk. Like how often do bands need to dance? Or is that part of who they are? Like they gonna dance 50% of the time and they gonna play 50% of the time. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm trying to come up with another philosophy, another theory about if that should constitute an L or does that constitute scaredness. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If your show is 30% dance, you automatically take the L.
Exactly. It's something along those lines. We have to calculate it. So
wow.
Hey,
they did a lot.
My band director used to say, "Fish swim, birds fly, bands play." So.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Just like bands don't have singers in front of the band out of halftime, but that's another story. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But yeah, definitely I noticed the sound between the two bands, and we'll talk about Savannah State, but intonation was like the biggest thing. And I was like, when they would play certain chords, it would be like, is that right? Or, and then they came out to the field to I'm So Glad. I hadn't heard, man, I'm So Glad in a long time. And that hit me because, that's like a staple for HBCUs. And I had not heard I'm So Glad, especially like I hadn't heard it as part of the show, and we actually like talked about it. And
bands be blowing down on the sidelines now. We ain't glad no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which happened today too, you know what I'm saying? Or this weekend. So yeah, Fort Valley State, I was glad to see him. I think I found one of their directors on Facebook now too. But shout out to Fort Valley State. I'm glad that I saw you, and just like the fella said, they're a good band. They're close. Just maybe a couple of the fine tuning they need to pick up. All right, you guys.
That's a little. I'm so glad. That's like their little traditional thing. So they come off to that at the end of every show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know. All right, y'all. So going over to the other small band, and I don't know the name of the Battle of the Bands, but I saw it was the second annual something.
I think it was Richmond County.
Richmond County, okay, Richmond County.
Academy of Richmond County, yeah.
Yeah, so there were a lot of other high school bands there that did a good job. And then the other college there was Savannah State. So I like Savannah State. I've always been a small band. Rashad, I'll start with you this time, man. What did you think about Savannah State?
Okay. So of course, is where the great Marcus Graham is. Going from Edward Waters to Savannah State, rebuilding that program. So I think we're all excited to see what he's doing over there. The first thing I noticed was the opening tempo off the wall. It was like dum 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 dum. I can't even do it because it's part of syncopated, but it was like really fast. Like they were really going, like almost too fast. But it wasn't bad. I hate the fact that it lost tempo gradually as the song went. And perhaps that's the reason why he started them so fast, so that as it started to lose tempo, it would still be at a relatively decent tempo. But they just need, if they're going to start at that tempo, they just need to hammer it and just keep it going. Hit them bass drums and just go. Let me see here. So it was cool. They started with Off the Wall. They did some opening slants there. Those look good. And then they went into Rock With You. I noticed that the drill was kind of short, honestly. They went into conga, but the tempo was like way slow, like, but like I feel like he was like, I guess this is as fast as we can play it. So we're gonna play it at this tempo, Trombones are out of tune on that. Shame on you, trombones. Y'all just back there playing chords. You might as well be in tune. Gracious, man. Then they went into Keep Running. Keep running. Can't keep running in and out of my life.
Yeah, that was a jam.
Crowd singing on that.
Yearning for my love, yeah.
Yeah, Yearning for my love. See, there you go.
Thank you. There you go. Hold on, let me give it a little. We got a official title of the song right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Try to
that don't happen too often, right?
No, not for real.
We try to say the wrong names of the songs so Trey Songz won't be on our case about it. So anyway,
true.
They had good sound overall, really good sound. The chords need some work on that B section though. Like when they get, the da da ba da ba da da ba da. The melody sounded good, but the chords needed work. The mellophones for that band are a real asset. Like they're great. Trombones need work though, and that hurts me into my heart. Dancer Team started with Level Up, which was hype. It was like they started that junk and they dropped down to the ground. It's like, yeah, that was hype. Give us more, but they didn't keep that hype. I mean, it was hype, but it wasn't interesting anymore after the first couple of moves. But then they ended the Dancer Team. That's like, that's all you get. But then they came back a couple of times and did some things, played a little bit more music. Overall, Savannah State did a good show. I was disappointed because it was just a regular show. I'm used to seeing something that I hate to call Marcus Graham as opposed to Savannah State, but honestly, when you look at his work with Edward Waters and with Savannah State, I kind of put them together. I'm used to seeing shows from him that say, wow, like I'm just used to being blown away by the products that he puts out with the small bands that he's had. And this was just a regular show. It sounded really good, but it was just regular. Even though Fort Valley did a whole lot more in their drill, their show was a lot more interesting overall. I feel that Savannah State did the better job overall as a band. So I give it to them.
Yeah, I pretty much felt the same way. Like I said, the biggest thing that jumped out at me was the intonation. You know, Steele was not able to see them because he was so close to the ground, to their show. But I look at my notes here. I like that. And I'm glad. What was it, Ernest? I was about to say
yearning for my love.
Yearning for my love. I got in my notes. Yeah. You can't keep running in and out of my life. I got the whole thing written out. But yeah, I thought that was good. And then the ending sounded bad though. I'm starting to notice, starting to just kind of pick up some more ending, more musicality, if you will. That ending didn't sound right. You know, I wish they probably had to work on something like that. And then didn't do much of a dance routine, which is something again we talked about. Excuse me, but then they saved it for the sideline.
So they should win, right? Based off of your calculations that you're bringing.
Right. Okay. So I'm glad you said that. First of all, let's give a nightly shout out to the chat room. Always shout out to Triple Plus Platinum folks in there. And shout out to Major Payne, A1 Story. A1 Story. Seeing them in the chat room every weekend. So shout out to them. But Major Payne hit me up, and he was laughing but he came up dance to play ratio. So DTP. All right, y'all. So that might be the new thing. DTP. You can see it down there at the bottom. That might be the new thing. So I need to implement. I need to put some more numbers in there. Now going back to what you said, Rashad. This DTP, it applies to the entire day. So it goes from like the stands when you marching in, halftime, the fifth, all of that. So for their show, Fort Valley State did okay to dance through the show because it was just a halftime show. But Savannah State, because they didn't dance as much, I did give them somewhat of a little bit more of an edge because they were playing more. You know what I'm saying? Other than the intonation. You know what I'm saying? But yes, DTP. I gotta watch what I say. I gotta be careful what I'm saying there. But the dance to play ratio. And shout out to Major Payne. There you can shout out to the chat room, y'all. That's what's up. I like that. So Ernest, I asked you about Savannah State, man. What did you I was gonna say about the sideline blowdown. They danced and they ended it or whatever, and it was all right. You know what I'm saying, Ernest? What did you think about Savannah State?
All right. Well, a lot of people give Savannah State and really all Graham's bands credit for their sound because he's such an awesome arranger. So yeah, they sounded good. And like you said, the camera was right on that sideline. So there were some rough spots that camera picked up, in that lower brass section. And at certain points, the trumpets got exposed a little bit during the drill as well. But you got to watch out for that, when you're flipping those squads on those drills, that everyone is playing when that squad comes back towards the press box, right. So that individuals don't get hurt, So some of that happened, but even though a lot of people give them props for their sound, I was just as impressed with their marching. And if you go back and look at those clips, they were marching.
Okay.
Like throughout that whole drill, man, they were killing it. Like everybody. Like it's almost like a Cookman look, everybody had those knees up. And I was impressed by that. Because you don't see that a lot, especially with the small bands. Usually the small bands focus on sound, because they're trying to sound big. But they had that sound and they had the look, So I really, really was impressed by that. The upper brass on conga was real impressive. It's like Rashard said, it was slow. I think he's trying to work it up, you know, to get to that speed that he wanted to have. But yeah, it wasn't exactly where I would have taken it in performance. But they played it clean. You know, they were clean. So I would take that any day. If you're going to be clean with it, play it at the tempo that you can play it clean. You know, so they did that and they played it clean. So I have no gripes about that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's trying to push that tempo because that song begs to be pushed. You know, it's just a driving selection. Their dancers, I wasn't impressed with their energy as much as Fort Valley's, and I think I said that earlier. Fort Valley's girls, they were kind of raw, and they had that pow, pow, pow. It's a family show, but they had that energy. But you know, Savannah State, the girls was kind of just going through the motions, and they were real delicate. And I don't like them delicate dances. I like those rough, you know, dances. I like a lot of energy and aggressiveness and some stunts. You know, I don't like to see you standing up the whole time and kind of walking around the field. I like to see you roll, flip, you know, get on the ground, you know, get those legs to 90 degrees, you know, get down. You know, right. That's what I want to see.
Sell some tickets.
Sell some tickets.
Exactly. Sell some tickets. So, you know, they struggle in that department. The ballad, I know we're not talking about the whole battle with all the bands, but I would have to say that I thought that ballad was probably the best ballad of the day. Some other bands had some really good selections as well, but as far as arranging, as far as the counter melodies and the phrasing, the band played with good phrasing. There were some intonation issues, but they were few and in between. You know, they weren't plentiful, and they made up for it with the phrasing, in my opinion. If you listen to each line, each melodic line, the phrases are complete, and you don't hear that a lot from HBCU bands or marching bands in general. That kind of concert band sound with completing the phrases and the phrases rolling into the next phrase. You know, our bands don't do that well, and I had to give kudos to Savannah State for actually paying attention and playing across the bar, as we say. Mm-hmm. You know, not stopping that sound at the end on beat 4. You know, the ear automatically wants to listen to that rest on beat 4, and if you just stress it across that bar, it would sound so beautiful and make everything sound so pretty, and that's what they did. I was really impressed by that. Their flags were real impressive. I thought their flags did a good job on their feature. I was more impressed with the flags than the dancers from Savannah State, to be honest. And yeah, the dance routine was short, and I think because, like you said, Rashard, this was really a typical show. He didn't do anything special for the Battle of the Bands. You can tell that this was like a 7-minute show, you know, like with the time restraints of a halftime gig, you know, and he didn't take advantage of the time he had in a Battle of the Bands situation to add a little bit more to the dance routine. Yeah, you know, do something special like change formations and spell out something or do something, you know, crazy. They didn't do that. It pretty much just ran the typical dance routine at the end of the show that they would in an away game or a home game situation. So yeah, I thought he should have done something special because he was in that Battle of the Band environment. You know, that calls for something. You should take advantage of it. Right. They did do the sideline blow down with the what is that? Sway or what's that song?
Swag surfing or something?
Yeah, swag surfing. Swag surfing. That's it. I like that. That's good. We had that conversation last time, Joe. Yeah, I think me and you, we like the sideline below that.
Yeah. I like that swag surfing too, cause if you seen the video, dudes be having their arm around each other and then they be going side to side.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in their homecomings, it'd be like a whole parking lot, stadium full of people, and they be doing a little swag surfing. Yeah, that's hot. That's hot on the streets, as they say.
Right. They can do that to I'm so glad though, right? That's what you're trying to say. I'm so glad.
That'll be hot. That'll be hot too.
Not so much. But to your point, Joe, was that a gimmick, or was that just good usage of time? I guess.
I think it was good usage of time. Just because so many people doing it now, you know what I'm saying? It's not so much now, but no, that was okay. The sideline, I liked it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's cool because it seemed like it's replacing a little bit of like the dance routine. You know what I'm saying? Like they dance and then they just make it, and then they coming off, and then they, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I like that.
The only problem I have with it is if you doing your dance routine and you get no house. Then you do the sideline blowdown. Then I got a problem. But, because then you just using it to save your show, But
right.
In Savannah State's defense, they had a good dance routine. It was short, but it was executed. Like they was bending them knees. They was selling them tickets to that press box when they was doing them gushes. So the band was dancing. They weren't halfway doing the movements like Fort Valley was. Mm-hmm. But it was a short dance routine. I think they should have done something a little extra. Just because it was a battle of the bands. It was in their city. Rep your city type performance.
Right. And shout out to the guys in the chat room. I got his name wrong. And I said Mr. JT, but it's Mr. TJ85.
TJ85.
Yeah,
man. Good footage for years, man. Yeah. Those South Carolina bands. For real.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, another East Coast guy over there. But yeah, I've been watching him for a while. But yeah, shout out to you, man. Like I said, if you guys go to the marchingpodcast.blog, you'll see all the suggested links, and that's all the people that have HBCU videography. All the people that's actually, putting some good footage out there of, games and footage from all the years we've been doing the show. All right. So you guys check that out. So, yeah, it sounds like we pretty much agree. We like Savannah State. Who did you think Ernest who did like the better show? Who did you think?
Oh, Savannah State, yeah, hands down. But I was impressed that Fort Valley sounded good. I really didn't expect them to, based on the last couple of years. But this year has been a step out year for them. I wish them the best, man. That they're doing some good things down in Fort Valley, Georgia. I used to live in Warner Robins, which is like maybe a stone's throw from Fort Valley. And I used to hang out around Fort Valley a lot, man. So like I lived in Warner Robins like 8 years. So
that's cool.
Yeah, shout out to Fort Valley, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. TJ85, he even put in the chat room that he said South Carolina State and Benedict was there. So if we get a chance, we get a chance. Yeah, we didn't see that because that would have been good. We talk about South Carolina State, man. We still got to talk about South Carolina State this year, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's all you say.
All right. Hey, man, we got to make sure we talk.
Hey, that's all I can say.
Yeah, man, we got to make sure we talk about it, man. But yeah, shout out to South Carolina State kind of standard, but I think we talked about this before. But Benedict is really, really good. I'm hearing a lot of stuff about Benedict. They are coming up and doing really, really well. So
they got them numbers. They got some size on them this year. You seen Benedict.
Right.
They ain't a small band no more,
Yeah, we definitely going to try to get them in this year, especially now. Somebody even said in the chat room, man, it's getting kind of kind of close to the end already. I always notice that every year we do the show and I start counting the weeks or like the volumes, it always gets to like 12 or 13. And there's always like a lot of weeks in between. Nothing is really going on. Like, after after like championship week and like the conference titles, you got the Bayou, and then there's a lot of dead space before we come back. And we were talking about the Honda. Bless you, Rashad. Bless you, Rashad.
I tried to mute, but I didn't get any time.
It's all good, man. We got the people on Washington clapping for you, man. They say bless you too, man. But yeah, we come kind of somewhat close to the end of the year, and then we don't have the Honda this year, so we don't have like right after the end of the year something.
What's gonna be that climax, man? That climatic event that's gonna bring us all together.
Celebration Bowl this year.
Yeah, the Celebration Bowl. So that'll probably be
that's where you have to climax.
Yeah. And so
that's it.
Yeah. So then that'll be December. So we probably got about a month left of the season. So yeah, man, it's I know it goes by fast, man. So yeah, it looks like we did pretty good. Shout out to Fort Valley State and shout out to Savannah State. As we said, it's been the theme all years. The rising tide raises all the ships. So it's good to see those two bands doing well because it benefits us all. All right, you guys, let's go and knock out our last commercial break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the main matchup of the night with the MEAC with Norfolk and with North Carolina A&T. Shout out to Christy Walker. We always like to say stuff with Christy, and I kind of was looking for an opportunity to make fun of North Carolina A&T tonight, but I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if I get to say something smart or not. We're coming back from the commercial break. All right, so y'all mute your microphones, and we'll do the commercial, and we'll come back and we talk about A&T and Norfolk. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening.
Your host, Joe Beard, and the 90 Degree Show will return in a moment.
Hello, everyone. This is Joe Beard from the Marching Podcast. Is your school, club, or organization looking for high-quality decorated apparel to outfit your students, staff, club, or team? Tired of the same old boring white T-shirt? Are you in charge of the upcoming fundraiser or special event, but don't really have time to troll the internet for ideas or compare products? SAY can help with design and product selection. We can even assist with ideas on conducting an effective fundraising program. SAY can help you save time and get your message heard. So call 1-800-975-3156. SAY Marketing and Promotions.
Give your brand a voice.
If you're thinking about buying or selling real estate in the Southern California area, please contact Kevin Peete of RE/MAX Patriots. He will meet and exceed all of your needs. You can contact Kevin at 951-858-5942. That's 951-858-5942. Or you can email Kevin at kpsaleshomes@sbcglobal.net. That's KP, his initials, Kevin Peete, KP Sales Homes, all one word, at sbcglobal.net. Thanks again.
You want the best barbecue around? SmokeeOs coming to your town. Ribs, chopped beef, baked potatoes too. SmokeeOs know what's good for you. You want the best barbecue around? SmokeeOs coming to your town. Ribs, chopped beef, baked potatoes too. SmokeeOs know what's good for you. SmokeeOs, come check us out.
Hello, this is Diamond Frazier. I'm a member of the Tennessee State University Marching Band. I'm a part of the clarinet section. And I also was a 2016 scholarship recipient from the Marching Podcast. And you are listening to the Marching Podcast Radio Network.
Hello, this is Andy Moreira, and I am one of the 2016 Marching Podcast Scholarship recipients. I would like to give a shout-out to my euphonium section back in Arkansas and Pine Bluff. A shout-out to Duran, a shout-out to Bianca, a shout-out to Omar, a shout-out to Gio. And you are now listening to the Marching Podcast Radio Network.
And now, more of the 90 Degree Show with your host, Joe Beard.
All right, guys, you can unmute your microphones. We are back live now to talk about the Spartan Legion against the Blue and Gold Marching Machine. All right. So there was a Battle of the Bands the Friday night before, and then the game on Saturday. And they had halftime, and then they had a fifth quarter. So we'll go over the Battle of the Bands. And if you guys got a chance, I didn't see A&T's halftime show, but I know we've talked about them a lot, and we know what they do on the halftime show. So I saw Norfolk, so we'll talk about that before we wrap up the show. All right. So yeah, really good matchup. The thing that jumped out to me really quick before we start, I really like the venue. So for me, the best like Battle of the Band venue that I've seen and we talked about is probably with the Florida Classic with FAM and Bethune. They got that really cool like indoor like football stadium, soccer field or something. So I really like that. But this one was cool because it was like dim. It was like kind of dark. And it was like a spotlight or something going. Yeah, and then the crowd was right there. It was exciting. And then like when the band would play something hype, the crowd would, get into it. But yeah, man, I thought it was cool. It was something appeasing, seeing that atmosphere. Ernest, man, what did you think about the Battle of the Bands with Norfolk and A&T?
Well, just to piggyback on what you were saying just a little bit, their venue was dope, man. And this, it was just from an audio perspective, it was mic'd really well. The audio was on point. Like they had the hang down speakers from the ceiling, and the announcers, you could hear them really well. I mean, it was just real professionally done. If you're gonna have a gym battle, quote unquote, I think that's the ideal situation. Then you had the stage off to the side, so Golden Delight got to do their thing on the stage, which is real fly. They look good on that stage out there. I will say that as far as bands playing though, this enjoying bands, I don't really like the gym setup too much. I like the open air setup, and I guess we can do a comparison when we talk about the fifth quarter from the game compared to the gym battle. Because, they played a lot of the same songs, but I got a different feel for those songs listening to them in the fifth quarter as opposed to that gym battle. A lot of the songs in the gym battle, it seemed like everything was just loud. Both bands were loud. I mean, both bands are pushing watts. I feel sorry for anybody that sees any of these two bands this year, man. They're strong. These bands are on it, man. A&T and NSU. I was real impressed sound-wise. And I'm always impressed with both bands' arrangements, too. That Paul I sound at Norfolk State. And then Jones still got his fingers on everything at A&T, and both bands sound good. They know how to play. Jones, Thomas.
Oh no, he's
at Hampton.
They won't claim that. They ain't gonna claim that. They ain't gonna claim that. I talked to too many of the staff. They ain't gonna let you say
that. Really? They playing his stuff. Shoot.
Are they still playing some of his arrangements? Okay, well maybe. Yeah, but almost everything is brand new from Aaron Campbell.
Really? Oh, okay. Okay. I'm impressed then. They sound just like Jones' sound, They They sound just like the A&T that I've come to respect. I was just real impressed with the ballads too. You know, a lot of bands don't approach a ballad the right way, but both of these bands do. They know how to approach a ballad. They know how to rise in the dynamics, the rise and fall, the dynamics. They know how to do the phrasing. They know how to articulate correctly during certain verses as opposed to the chorus. So kudos to the staff, man. There's some teaching going on at A&T and at Norfolk that these bands are playing. You know, I mean, Norfolk, man, they always play, but this year, oh my God. Like, this is the old Norfolk, you know, that Norfolk we saw back in the early 2000s that was just killing, you know. They went to the Honda and killed, you know, that Norfolk. So this band kind of reminds me of that band. It's raw, aggressive, a chip on their shoulder. You know, those are the kind of bands I like. Bands with something to prove. That's why I like small bands so much, because small bands usually have that chip on their shoulder. And they got something to prove, you know. But these are big bands with a small band mentality. And I like that. I like that aggressiveness. I like that, you know, we're not resting on our legacy. We're not resting on our laurels. You know, yeah, we NSU. Yeah, you know, we got Paul I arrangements, but we still gonna try to come at you, you know, no matter what, you know. And I respect that. I didn't get a chance to see the halftimes from these bands, which kind of disappointed me. Because I was looking for them, man. And I made this is what my next article is going to be on Block Us Up. It's going to be about, is halftime being replaced by the gym battle, the 0 quarter, and the 5th quarter? Because that's what it seems to me. If you go on YouTube and you look for Norfolk versus A&T, I guarantee you the halftime is not going to be the first clip that comes up. And why is that? You know, like, it got to change from the way things were, you know, from what we used to experience. You know, this is very interesting. So that's actually my next article, and I'm talking about that change that's happened in our culture, that we kind of elevate the 5th, the 0 quarter, and the gym battle over a halftime. You know, people don't even talk about halftime. Like, when you talk about who got the W, most of these young cats, they don't base it off of what either band did at halftime. And they base it off of something they did in the stands at some point. You know, either it was in the 0 quarter, in the 5th quarter, or either in a gym battle, you know, before the game. You know, something happened and they give the W to that band because of that. But not from halftime. And I find that interesting. You know, we're all from that generation where halftime was game time, you know, where really what happened in the stands was like a party. You know, that's how it was for me. Like, we weren't really paying attention to the band across the way in the stands. You know, we were just having a good time. But halftime, when we went at the other band, you know, these kids have a different approach. And different, you know, different is not bad or good or bad. It's just different. So I think it deserves some attention. I think we need to talk about it. But yeah, I didn't check out the halftime clips because I had trouble finding them. But I did check out the 5th and the band battle. So I'm going to chime in again on the 5th. But yeah, that battle of the bands, man, I would have to say it was even. I can't even give the W to either band. I was impressed by a lot that went on from both sides.
One thing that I thought about what you were saying is, you know, if that is, you see the how Crankfest came to be, or Crankfest came into existence, and that was a battle of the bands, but there wasn't a halftime show. It was just the two bands sitting next to each other, and then, you know, the people. One of my favorite ones, I will probably remember of all time, was, I think it was Southern and Talladega. It was Talladega and somebody. And they were sitting right next to each other, and this was like the year that Periscope was really popular.
Yeah, that was selling everything.
Yeah, and like the bands were like right in front. It was like it's like right crazy. So yeah, there's probably some element to that to see, bands. Maybe it's the elevation of the culture where it was like, okay, other than the halftime, the fifth and the zero, these are more ways to judge on, if a band is coming to the competition or not.
Right.
I was again tripping off, and then I guess we have to go back to the DTP, the dance to play ratio. Norfolk. First of all, I was excited because we talked about the shoot dance a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was I didn't know what it was, so I called it the chicken kick.
That one there.
Yeah, the chicken kick. So a lot of people were dragging me through the mud. Like I was talking to chicken. They was like, they don't look nothing like no chicken. I was like, well, dang, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to Brother Snipes because he was saying people over 40 don't need to know the name of that dance. I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's right. That's right.
That's right.
So somebody told me, okay, it's the shoot dance. So now I know it's the shoot dance. So Norfolk did that
chicken
first.
Chicken kick sounds much better. I don't shoot dance. That's what.
Yeah, I like the chicken kick.
When you say chicken kick, I know exactly what you're talking about. When you say shoe dance, I'm thinking you know when Busta Rhymes did a video, he took his shoe off and had his shoe all up in the camera. I'm thinking that. You say chicken kick. Like, okay. Yeah. I know
I don't even know what they're shooting. I don't know what exactly they shooting like when they do it. I'm like, what's going on? But okay, it's the shoot. But Norfolk did that in that battle of the bands against Virginia State, and they got a lot of house. So they did it in like the first song. It seemed like every song Norfolk played, it had a drum break where they like danced for a second. It's like they danced for every song. So that was too the DTP. It was affected way too much in this battle of the bands. So unfortunately,
the DTP was uneven, right?
It was uneven, man. So unfortunately, Norfolk had to take an L in this gym battle because they just danced too much. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And it's a trip because I'm learning more about Norfolk and like their prestige since we've been doing the show. And I remember when I went to Smith, people were talking about Norfolk State and all this stuff. So I'm like, okay. So now I'm just not seeing them in their glory. And then you got the nerve to be dancing all the time? Nah.
Oh, man. But you know what, though? I think it goes back to these little hip-hop songs, man. It's just 32 bars, tuba break. You know, so in that gym battle, that band battle, both bands played a lot of those hip hop tunes. So you heard a lot of that little drum break, tuba break stuff. You know, I don't like it. I don't like that format at all.
Yeah,
and I'm a tuba player.
Yeah, somebody was talking about it. Like it started. I remember when Mr. Adams, when we were at Jackson State, the officials and the teams were like, yo, the bands is playing way too loud. It's like the people ain't coming here for the bands. It's like, well, that's an argument. That's a debate, but we'll kind of handle that later. So the football players was like, yo, you need to calm it down, especially like when the game is close. And they were just basically saying, pay more attention to the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Support over what's going on. So what we started to do, what Mr. Adams started to do, he had just the tubas do the line of get ready, you know, the do 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 do, and then we would just say go on, you know, every 8 counts or whatever. So that's kind of, and then like if the team got a first down, we would play something really fast. But Mr. Adams was basically controlling, like keeping things soft, and then of course the drummers would come in with a little something. So it kind of evolved. Someone was telling me that's kind of like the origins of a lot of this tuba breaks. And then, of course, Bridgette was talking about how it's like lazy arranging, where now some directors are like, oh, man, we could probably rock this out for a good, 8 minutes of the quarter, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's how they do it now, man. They got the intro, the tuba break, back end with the trombone, 8th notes, I hate it. It's a format now, man.
Yeah. So that was something that like tripped me out. We're just talking about how it first came out from just the band trying to just follow the team. Where, you know what I'm saying, just follow along. And now we got You know, now we got like Bridgette say, lazy arranging. And shout out to Bridgette, we got another shot. Cause she would have probably said,
you got a shot in anyway.
Yeah. She probably said, "Oh yeah, they suck" or something. So like, yeah. All right, y'all. So Rashad, man, I want to ask you, what did you think about the Battle of the Bands Friday night?
Okay, I thought it was really interesting concerning the venue itself. It was interesting to see it actually done at night and with the bands facing each other. I like the night part. I mean, the dark part. I'm not sure that the fans necessarily benefit from them being facing each other like that. I still think it's better for them to be on the ground playing at the audience, you know, because if you're standing next to your band, you can't hear them. It doesn't really matter how loud they are. You can't hear them. You know, you just hear the drums and stuff. So perhaps it would be better if both bands were, you know, on the far side in the stands in the dark playing at us. Something similar to that way that Grambling and Southern do it, you know, and that, of course that takes away from the intensity because they're not facing each other, but they'll have plenty of time to face each other. What you're trying to do again is to sell tickets and make sure that your band gets heard. So anyway, let me jump into this. I'm not going to get to every song, but I'm going to talk about a couple of highlights. The first song the Norfolk State played, very good sound. And then when the tubas came in, wow, that really solidified the sound. I've been talking about Jackson State all year and their tubas, but Norfolk State sounds just as good. Very good articulation. So I'm like, okay, what is A&T going to sound like? Because, you know, I grew up when A&T wasn't the A&T that we have now. And so if it came for like who's louder, it's definitely going to be A&T. But if it's going to be who plays better, it's definitely going to be Norfolk State. But A&T sounded almost just as good. You know, it's like, wow. And their directing looks very good. Like the drum majors in there directing, I got to give them props because I'm always giving people a hard time when the drum majors are facing the wrong way directing. That's stupid. So then A&T played again. I don't know how that happened. And that first song that they played, you know, they got to get that concert G together. They need to spend time practicing that. Like that, it's up. Get that together. You have to, I mean, trombones are naturally out of tune in the high range, and you have to spend time getting that together. And the mellophones had some problems there. Norfolk played after that, and so I began to get a better understanding of what's happening here. Overall, Norfolk State has the better sound when they're at their best, okay? The problem is Norfolk is not nearly as consistent as A&T is. A&T basically reached a certain level, and they pretty much stayed at that level. Sometimes they would get way too excited, particularly like during the hype mixes and stuff, and the sound started to fall apart a little bit. It wasn't as clean. But for the most part, they stayed right here. Sometimes Norfolk would play, and they'd be like, wow, Norfolk, you sound great. And the other times, you were like, well, you sound good, but how come you're not really playing? I'll give you a perfect example. The worst songs of the night, believe it or not, many people may disagree, was Ready or Not. Well, why they sounded good. Why would I say that's one of the worst songs of the night? It's because Norfolk State does not have the trumpet section that they need to balance out the rest of that band. They have at least 15 trombones, probably about 12 baritones. They don't have the trumpet section to balance it out. Norfolk State plays with balance, though. So what happened is when the trumpets had the melody, that meant that the low brass section had to back way off, and so they could never sell the song. It was just Ready or Not, I'll give you everything. Like it never reached a climax, you know. Versus,
I agree with that.
What was that North A&T? How Can I Ease the Pain? Woo, boy! You talking about reaching the climax, and then they went from there to Meeting in My Bedroom. The crowd absolutely amazing. It was great. It was great. So we saw that happen with Norfolk. Again, they played all night long. And all night long, you know, so they sung like really well. It sounded really good, but they played really soft, like almost the whole song. You're like, okay, so I guess this is the volume that we're playing.
And they did something funny with the arrangement too. It did some other things that were kind of different with that.
It's somebody put another song in there, but then after that, then they opened up really loud. So I'm like, well, which one is it, Norfolk? Are you playing soft? Are you playing mezzo forte today, or are you playing loud? Like, which one is it? you know, and before anybody says, "Oh, it's a band playing with different dynamic levels," there's a time to play with different dynamic levels, but you can't play a whole song pretty much at mezzo forte and then modify the song and then do it at double forte. Like you got to be consistent. So Norfolk sounds great, but not nearly as consistent. Mo Bamba, that little mix that they did, what do you call it? Hype mix. First of all, they had a very weird intro into that. It was weird. I don't know what was. They did the weird intro, and then they did "Don't Want to Go to War," which sounded good. And then later on, they played Mo Bamba, and that was probably like the worst playing of the night. Like they started losing control. They lost that control that Norfolk played with the entire time. So again, they had very good sound overall, but they just weren't consistent. No, A&T on the other side was not as good at times. Their Golden Delight routine that they did, 3 songs back to back, is probably some of the worst playing they did of the night. It's just overall it wasn't good. And they played Speed Demon, which is a song that a lot of people don't know, even if they're fans of Michael Jackson. You know, Speed Demon. What
was that other song they played in that little Golden Delight mix? I was like, why are they playing that? It's like some kind of cheesy tune.
Yeah. I was happy to know what Speed Demon was. There's so many songs that, like, I don't know. But I was hating the fact that the the runs, that song is the trumpet, the horn part is da 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 like that run in Speed Demon is crazy. And they did it one time at the beginning of the song and then didn't do it from there on out. They should have told Golden Delight, we're not going to play this song because we can't play the run. If you're not going to play the run, don't play the song. Or they should have said, you want us to play Speed Demon? Okay, we're not going to work on anything else until we get these runs down. It's one or the other. You know what I mean? I really enjoyed it, though. I'm surprised that A&T didn't respond. Oh, real quick, last thing. The Boogie Nights type of thing that they played, and then they went into something else. Soft. That was beautiful. It was beautiful. Great sound from A&T. So and Norfolk responded with Ready or Not, and that sounded great at soft part, but then after it got loud, it just never went anyplace. So that's all I got to say. I give it to A&T. It was by no means a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. These bands are as close as bands can be. Yeah. But I'd give the edge to A&T. I hate that I did not see the drum battle. I didn't even realize that there was one until I saw another video. I was like, crap, because I really would have wanted to see that.
Yeah, and plus I attempted to try to watch it, but I don't be knowing what's going on. Like when the drummers be doing something, I be like, man, that's tight. Like what they doing, but I don't. Is that better than what they doing? Like is that a paradiddle or something? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So one thing that jumped out to me was the Norfolk played, and I think you guys said the correct song, and I'm about to say is 2 occasions, but that wasn't 2 occasions. I only think of you on 2 occasions. That wasn't the name of that song.
They didn't play that.
No, they didn't play that, but they played something else. But that's what I wrote down. That's what I thought.
Ready or not, I'll give
give you.
That's
after 7. Right?
After
7.
They sing 2 occasions. That's the same group though, right?
Nah, you think? Well, yeah. Wait a minute. No, you talking about Babyface and the LaFace.
Right. That's Babyface.
Yeah,
that's it. They're brothers. After the lead singer of After 7, the brother of Babyface.
Oh,
that's right.
Okay, because I knew because like I heard it and and then when you just said the song, I'm like, oh no, that's the correct song. I wrote the wrong song down. So yeah, so they played that song. Norfolk played that song, and I did not like it. And I tell you, I now understand Norfolk's style, and first of all, let me say that I like it. So it was the same thing they did in the halftime, but Norfolk has this like rigid, like straight up, like robot type style, and at the end impressive. When they finished playing, they brought their horns down real fast, like it's like a snap, like military. You know what I'm saying? So their style was a little bit different. So I felt that they made that Ready or Not, it was way too choppy. Like, it felt like it was like the Norfolk style. And I felt like a lot of their slow songs, like, they were good, but it didn't have that funk with it. And I was thinking maybe that was like a SWAC bias or something, because, you know, if some of these other bands was playing some of these ballads in the gym, I mean, it would have opened up. It would have been something, like, ridiculous. Like, Rashad talking about Mezzo Forte, we talking about Fortissimo and then Cajones. That's SWAC. That's SWAC volumes. You know what I'm saying? So that was the thing. But I was like, you know what? I think that's their style. I noticed they marched on the field and they were very exact. They pointed to the sky and everything was a snap. You know. So I was like, oh, I like that. But it bled over to their ballads, and I did not care for that. I felt like it hurt them a little bit. The bands were pretty even though. I thought that they were pretty even. I just felt like I heard more layers of sound with A&T, and it feels like they had a stronger upper brass than Norfolk did. And other than that, and Norfolk dance, like when they started going into those medleys, like Rashad brought up when they went to, and then meeting in my bedroom, the Ease the Pain, and then meeting in my bedroom, that was tight. That was tight. And then Norfolk came back with another, and then they danced like every song. I'm like, come on, Norfolk, like what y'all doing? Stop. You know what I'm saying? So other than that, I gave it to A&T because Norfolk, man, they were, you know, their DTP was way off, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think they are a better band where they could be playing and they didn't have to be doing all that dancing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I think that was it. Yeah. And
boy, those Norfolk State tubas and baritones though. Oh my God. Really, both bands baritones is humble, but
yes.
Norfolk State tubas, they were raw, boy. I mean, they were like a unit. Like you heard no individual players the whole night. They were like tight. I was real impressed. And I was impressed with A&T too. Now they had a good tuba section as well. I mean, they were a larger section, so maybe that's why I like to give the nod on the tubas to Norfolk, but they were smaller, but they matched that sound. You know,
right.
But
well, that's what's up. That's what's up, guys. Oh, so moving on to the last thing we talk about tonight is the halftime show. Now, I didn't get a chance to see the fifth. Well, I take that back. I started the fifth, but then I heard some of the same songs, and I was like, oh. And that's when I hit you guys on the group, and I was like, well, if y'all will talk about the fifth, we can, you know. But once I started hearing some of the same songs.
Let me say this about the fifth. Like, the highlight of the fifth to me was when A&T played Meeting in My Bedroom, it had a little something extra in that open air Coliseum. You know, they lit that Coliseum up with Meeting in My Bedroom. And that was like a wild moment. The crowd reacted too. Okay. And Norfolk State, though, when they played that ooh, girl, you know what's up, that was jamming. You know what I'm saying? So they, like I said, these
you about to be murdered, dude. You about to be murdered. Watch out.
You gotta guess celebrity up in there, Ernest.
Yeah. But
should have said that about Norfolk.
You know what I'm saying?
I came in there and murdered
Watch my mouth. Let me watch my mouth. But yeah, when they play that girl, you know what's up. That was my jam, man. I was impressed with that. I was impressed.
That's cool.
But
that's cool.
They were equally matched, like in the fifth too, man. Like if you saw the band battle, you saw the fifth.
So I want to ask you then, because this has happened to A&T like 3 times we've done the show. Did you feel like they ran out of gas? Because I know one knock on them over the years is they're the bomb on the field, but you might not really be sure about what A&T gonna give you in the stands. And I've seen them a couple times be like tired. What did you think?
It was G-Ho. It was G-Ho. It was homecoming.
Right.
they were lit. You know, they were lit the whole day, at least in the fifth.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, because I know that's one thing about A&T, man. Like, I think last year when we watched them do the Celebration Bowl, by the time they got to, they were so tired, man. Like, it was just like, wow, man, it was horrible. But that's a good thing to know about the fifth. Rashad, did you check out the fifth?
No, I didn't see the fifth at all.
Well, that's what's up. Like Ernest said, I think we got the same, or maybe a little bit different with the open air. Let's talk about the halftime show. I saw Norfolk, and again, I'm learning about Norfolk's prestige and, like, you know, why they're so special. And I just love the hybrid style. Now, I said I like the hybrid style with A&T, but I really like it with Norfolk. Those two exemplify that style excellent. I mean, like, they can go back and forth between the two. You know what I'm saying? I like how Norfolk, too, there were a couple guys when they would go, like, a close-up of some of the band members, they would crouch down on some of their movements, like they was kneeling down really low, and they were...
That's that backwards march.
Backwards marching and side... So all of that stuff I really like. The difference I could tell is, I think about both of you two, because both of you guys say, like, step twos. I noticed that there were, in those drills, there's not a lot of the step twos, or there's not a lot of the kaleidoscope looking stuff.
No, that's not right. Norfolk, the kaleidoscope's quite a bit, actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I stand corrected.
They just keep those bells to the press box. They do it flip. Instead of doing the end zone to end zone, they come from sideline to sideline. So those bells stay facing forward a lot of the time, as opposed to the SWAC bands, you know, doing those step twos.
So it might look a little bit different.
Right. Okay. When they do their step two, it's called in core style, it's called a slide or a shift, where you turn your body this way, but your upper body still facing the front. So you don't recognize it as much as what we normally see. Boom. Right here.
See, this is why we got the network here. Because we educate. You know what I'm saying? Music kicked my behind. And I'm just saying, that major is off the chain. And y'all some real survivors. So y'all able to break that stuff down nice. But yeah, it's funny you say that, because I'm now seeing it in my head. That's exactly what's going on now. But it does look different when you facing away from that home crowd. So yeah, shout out to Ernest, and shout out to the Block Brothers, Ernest and Rashad.
I like that.
All right, so but yeah, I thought that Norfolk had a good show. They sounded good. I like how they march and then they stop marching, and they kind of have their feet apart, and then it's kind of like pointing the bells up. You know what I'm saying? At some time in
that park and bark.
Yeah, I just enjoy seeing that. And the fact that it's different, and I'm not used to seeing it, and the fact that they can go back and forth between the two. Like, if they needed to, like, if they had to do, like, let's say a core competition, they can literally do a core competition in the morning, and then go and, you know, do high step like that night. You know what I'm saying? So, shout out to the program. I don't know if Norfolk's back, because I don't know, like, how thunderous they were back in the 90s or whatever, but I think that they're pretty good. They're pretty good now. I like it. Rashad, what did you think, man, of the halftime show?
Real quick, before I jump into that, I didn't want to forget that I was Ubering. Y'all know I do Uber on the side. And I was Ubering in Durham on Friday night, actually. And I picked up a couple of cats from a hotel. And I found out that Norfolk State was actually staying in Durham. You know, so it kept me from blowing up the place. So anyway, I picked up the cat, right? I was to talk to him about band. Oh, what band you in? Blah, blah, blah. I'm Rashad, yeah. And I was like, are you familiar with the Marching Podcast? He's like, yeah, man, I know all about, him March. That's my show right there. I'm like, I'm Rashad. He's like, Rashad. You know, he's like, he went to like straight on Snapchat. He's like, I got the Marching Podcast dude on the show. So, Joe, your show was definitely known, man. Like, people people in the marching band field, they know what's happening with the marching podcast.
I appreciate that, man. I'm glad we're doing something.
Yeah, shout out to baritone player. God, I think his name was Seibel. Because some girl, she said it like she joked on his name, so I stuck with the nickname. But it's like Nibel or Seibel or something like that. So it's a baritone player. So shout out to you there, brother.
Yeah, man.
But, okay.
I was gonna say real quick, Rashad, man. Man, I think we could probably have a network. You know what I'm saying? Like we could have like a cable channel, like us, Rogers Brothers, and Show Style Talk. Just like ESPN talk sports all the day, man. We could have some type of programming. You know what I'm saying? And then we get Christy to do the news at night. She'll be like Gail. And then that's how we'll go to sleep at night. Christy's giving us the news on the HBCU news of the day, man. So yeah, man, it's doing well. A lot of the media that got Eddie on the Meet Me on the 50, he's got a lot of hits. So man, we growing like there's an actual niche out there for us. So yeah, man. Next thing is Oprah, go ahead and send me a check, and I will make sure I work nonstop so you can get your money back. All right. Rashad, man, what you think about halftime, man?
So the next thing is real quick. Norfolk State video team, like, get it together. The video I saw was decent, but I can definitely tell there's something happening. There's a problem with the mics or something, because the mids, like the low baritones, low trombones, that was just gone. It was just completely gone. It was very high, heavy, and you could hear the tubas, but there was no richness in the sound. Thank you for my gunshot there, Joe. Shout out to the bridge.
I can't hear the sounds, man. I'm hating.
I know, man. I don't know what I did last week. I gotta see what I did last week. Or I think I restarted it or something, or I gotta open something first. It's like a little something I gotta figure out, but I'm gonna have something for it, man.
They need to work on that, because Norfolk is a very, very good band, and I could tell that I was heavily influenced by how much those sounds were missing in the recording. So get that together. Norfolk, great intro. They are playing their tails off, particularly that trumpet section. I mean, they were playing. Understand you me. I mean, all kinds of runs all throughout the song, and there's songs, and there's no doubt that Norfolk is the best when it comes to marching, period. When it comes to at least standing in place marching, I should say. I mean, the camera would sit on people for a long time, and every step, and every person that you saw, legs high, right. legs high, every step. They can kill it, man. And also, A&T honestly needs to watch them as a better example of the hybrid style. So I commented on the show that A&T did last week, and I said that when they would go to the side or they would back up, they would lose energy. And people were like, no, they don't lose energy. Yes, they do. Watch Norfolk and you'll get a better example. For example, when you notice that when A&T backs up, they don't crouch down. And this is something I learned at Hampton as well. The reason that you crouch is so that you can take a bigger step. Because if you're standing straight up, it's hard to take a large step. So everybody at Norfolk, when they get ready to back up, you see that crouch. Boom. And it's exciting because they all do it together, and then they can take that large step. And just adding that one thing keeps the energy going when they're marching versus when you're just taking a step back. Versus when you see A&T march, A&T generally, a lot of times you'll see them, this is what they do. They don't march until they get to their spot. Once they get to their spot, they kill it. But until then, they just kind of, okay, we're marching a little bit versus Norfolk marches all the time. Let me see here. Marching is fantastic. And they played I Need Your Love. That was great. The drill that they did was very, very simple. Like, they just made my glasses on the field. Like, that's what they made. Like, they made these two things, and they made them. They folded them up. They folded the glasses. Then they unfolded the glasses. All right, come on, Norfolk. Y'all are a better band than that, They played I've Been Searching. It was interesting that the video team focused in on the band during the I've Been Searching because there was an absence of the dancers. Like, they pulled back. Sometimes you know, he said, "Oh, the dancers are not there," but like they spent a lot of time just sitting there looking at trumpet players and stuff, which I thought was interesting. During that dancer team, one of those mellow players hit a high note. Good God, it was like the second song of the dancer team, and he was up there. I got to give him credit, man. I give him credit. And let me see here. Their energy is an energy. They vary their dance routines in is an energy winger. I have no idea what that says. Oh, I know what it says. I do not like the fact that every dance routine ends with bop, like they hit that stinger on the end, and then they go to the next song. Like their dance routines, each dance is okay, but how they transition from one song to the next is not very good. And you can tell that in the crowd response. Like they were doing a very good job, but the crowd was not giving them anything. And I don't know what was up with that during the songs of their show, like the drill. Like after they finished the drill, they never really didn't get anything. After they finished their slow song, they didn't get anything. And they were doing a good job. I don't know if the crowd felt it was too stuffy. Now, after the show was over, the crowd responded like, "Oh yeah, it was great." But during the show, there wasn't really any crowd reaction. But I'll say that Norfolk did a great job. Joe, I get like 5% power here. So I just want to, I'll just say this real quick because we don't even get to it. I did watch A&T's show just because I was assuming that you might ask me in a hypothetical battle who might be better, Norfolk State or A&T. And I didn't want to compare Norfolk State to A&T's This Is America show. I watched A&T's show. It was an amazing show. It sounded so good. Like Norfolk sounded great, and they had harder runs. But my God, A&T sounded so good. Some of those chords are beautiful, and they played a slow song. I didn't write it down because I wasn't going to spend a lot of time talking about it. But God, that slow sound sounded so good. It was so soft and rich. They did a great show, man. So in this battle, I definitely gave the battle to A&T. Like there was no doubt. Norfolk did a fantastic show, and they would drag a lot of bands. And if it were at a competition, they would have won against a lot of other bands. But A&T did a much more interesting drill, a more complex drill, and they sounded better. So hats off to A&T.
Yeah, I'll say it's real fast so I could try to keep you on the show, Rashad. The thing that jumped out to me on Norfolk's, because I didn't see A&T's show, but Norfolk's show, they played the "I Like It Like That." I don't know if that's that Cardi B. It's a new song.
Oh yeah, that's a Cardi B. Yeah,
but it's like the remake because it's like an original. So I don't know if they actually were playing the original or they were playing the Cardi B one. But the trumpets had a little flare, like so. I thought that was cool that jumped out. But one thing I thought about you, Rashad, was today, and I had this issue when we were at Smith. It just seems like the trombones have all the swag on all the East Coast bands, like Hampton. No matter where it is, it's not the trumpets that basically have like that lead line, that lead singer type of thing going. It seemed like it's the trombones. A lot of trombones.
Yeah, with those glissandos.
Yeah. So I heard that a lot with A&T and Norfolk with the battle and even with halftime. So it just made me think of like the difference. Whereas I know like when I went to Jackson State, it was trumpet heavy. Like there were a lot of trumpet players that were there. And so then of course the music was written where your trumpets were just seen like they were so loud and but yeah, that's something that jumped out to me. I felt that I didn't see A&T's show because we've talked about them so much, but I'm just really impressed with Norfolk. I like their style. I like how they're all militant, and I like they're all the regimented style and everything. But yeah, I think maybe because it was their homecoming, A&T probably just had the difference. And somebody said that in the chat room that A&T gets up for Norfolk. You know what I'm saying? So. That's what's up, guys. Again, shout out to the chat room again. I see my man Scarfinger Hood Rich is up in there with the great name. So shout out to you. all the little triple plus.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I was sitting there looking at his comments, but I didn't. I forgot that's the guy that you were hyping up last week. Yeah, Scarfinger Hood Rich.
That's dope. That's dope. So yeah, man. So I guess we have the time to close, and it looks like we always at 90 minutes. I don't know what we talk about, man. It's always 90 minutes. Ernest, thanks again for being on the show, man. Anything to close out the show before we end the podcast tonight?
Man, I enjoy it. Check out Block Us Up this week and the next 2 to 3 weeks. A lot of interesting content coming out. Check us out. BlockUsUp.com.
All right, Rashad, same thing, man. Anything to close before we sign off tonight? Oh, wait, hold on, y'all. See, I always mess up. Once we supposed to do, this is my little thing. When we do the closing, I'm supposed to be doing the little music, man. That's how we close out. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, yeah, check out blockusup.com in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, just like you said, Block Us Up and is the 5th replacing halftime.
That's right.
Is folks hating on halftime, y'all? Check out blockusup.com. Check it out. Rashad, anything to close out before we sign up on the podcast tonight?
It's time to buy your Christmas music, people. Hit me up. 919-698-2560. Everybody need to get this SmokeeOs Joe guy to sing it. 919-698-2560. Buy your Christmas music, and of course, check out Color Commentary. I don't know what we're reviewing this week, but we will be reviewing over the course of the weeks the new Transformers movie. We'll be reviewing Aquaman, Wanted, not Wanted, whatever it is, the movie with the guy from what is the name of that thing? With the guy, he's in the sunken place. You know what I'm talking about?
The black brother.
Get out.
He's like the bad guy in that. So whatever that movie is called, we're doing that.
Widow. Is it Widow?
Widow, that's it. Widow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, and I don't know if it's true, but they were talking about how like the Me Too movement is having all this effect on things, and that was like a movie that's gonna accentuate the Me Too movement, because it's it's 3 women that's about to go commando and start murdering people and stuff. So that's gonna give my daughter hype. My daughter's not gonna see it, but stuff she like women that's violent and stuff like that. So shout out to the Me Too movement, y'all. Don't be mad at us. I'm just saying.
That's right.
We cool over here. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to you, Rashad. Yeah, appreciate what you do. Shout out to you, Ernest. Really love your blog, man. It's really good intellectual stuff. We gotta read more, y'all. Other than that,
yes.
For me, nothing else. We'll be back next week. We'll talk about the next matchup. And again, we appreciate you guys checking us out. If you are interested in becoming a sponsor or a patron to the Marching Podcast, please contact the show and we'll give you the criteria so we can start to pub your business using our platform. We'll play your commercial. You'll see your stuff down there at the bottom of the screen. All that information so we can pub and get more of your business out there to the public. All right. We've come to the end of the show. We've come to the end of the podcast. Check out the marchingpodcast.com. Donate what's in your heart. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, the blog, all of that stuff. You guys know what it is. And remember, if you're... I was about to say, if you're interested in becoming a sponsor or patron, we already had that. So if you are out there in the world and you want to donate, make sure you do it. But just go ahead and support the craft and get active with your college alumni associations and all that other stuff. So I'm rambling now. Let's go ahead and end the show. Check out the website, donate what's in your heart. Thanks for listening, and remember, the lectures you deliver may be very fine and true, but I'd rather get my lesson in observing what you do. See you next time.
And that's it for the 90 Degree Show for this week. Tune in next week with Joe Beard, where the marching band battles continue.